Straight to Capitol Hill, where U.S. has voted for its 118th Speaker of the Congress in Kevin McCarthy.
I want you to go into that conference room. I want you to see another portrait. My members know of this. It's of Washington crossing the Delaware. You all know the story. It happened on Christmas, 1776. There was no iPhone to take a picture. People wonder when it was painted. It wasn't painted by someone who was there. It was painted in 1850 and 1851. He was an immigrant who lived in America, Emanuel Lentz. You know why he painted it? Because he knew America was more than a country. America was an idea. He went home to Germany, and he wanted Germany to have a revolution based upon the values and freedoms that we defend every day. His talent was art. So he believed if he painted this painting, he could inspire his countrymen to rise up for the idea of freedom. Now, many historians will tell you he didn't get it correct. They'll tell you Washington crossed on a Durham boat, but he paints it with Washington in a rowboat. You see 13 people, but only 12 faces. You see Washington standing up in a rowboat in the middle of winter, wearing a ceremonial uniform with his hand on his chest. He looks so stoic. You would look at that man, you'd say, I'd follow him anywhere. You probably believe that he never lost a battle. But history would tell us at that moment, at that time, he had only lost. We had never won. You see, that was the night of our first victory as a nation when we surprised the Hessians. But when you look at that painting, don't look at Washington. I want you to look at who's in the boat. You see, the second rower in the beret, he's Scottish. The person directly across from him in the green.
Well, this is live in Washington, D.C. Let's tell you what happened earlier, because he has been chosen as the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives in the 118th Congress in America. Ending a dramatic deadlock, Kevin McCarthy finally secured the votes to become the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. He won at last on a margin of 216 against 212. McCarthy flipped enough GOP hardliners to become the U.S. House Speaker after 15 rounds of voting, ending a stalemate of 4 days. This comes after McCarthy made concessions to a group of right-wing hardliners that raised questions about the party's ability to govern. The 57-year-old Californian suffered final humiliation when Representative Matt Gaetz withheld his vote on the 14th ballot, prompting almost a scuffle between the two, in which fellow Republican Mike Rogers had to be physically pulled away. McCarthy's victory in the 15th ballot brought an end to the deepest congressional dysfunction in over 160 years. But it sharply illustrated the difficulties that he will face in leading a narrow and deeply polarized majority. McCarthy has already offered various concessions to the rebels, including a seat on the influential Rules Committee, which sets the terms for debate on legislation in the chamber, and also agreed to allow any single member to call for a vote to remove him from office at any time. After initially seeking to adjourn the House until Monday, Republican leaders abruptly reversed course and stayed in the session, setting up the 15th vote. Just minutes after the win, McCarthy said that one thing was clear from the last few days, that he would never give up.
And now, the hard work begins. What we do here today, next week, next month, next year, will set the tone for everything that follows. Tonight, I want to talk directly to the American people. As Speaker of the House, my ultimate responsibility is not to my party, my conference, or even our Congress. My responsibility, our responsibility, is to our country.
The Speaker of the House is second in line to the presidency after Vice President Kamala Harris. With McCarthy being elected the Speaker, the U.S. House can now proceed with the rest of its business, including administering the oath of office to newly elected members. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani has sent us this report from New York.
Kevin McCarthy finally made it to the finish line, and Republican holdouts who switched their vote to support the GOP leader are touting a historic deal they made with the Republican from California, one they say will fulfill their longtime goals of radically reducing federal spending in Washington. Part of the deal specifically pledges to adopt a House budget resolution that caps fiscal year 2024 discretionary spending at or below the levels of fiscal year 2022. Also, according to Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, it also ties the House passage of an upcoming debt ceiling increase to the adoption of the budget resolution. Concessions to the far-right holdouts ultimately brought Kevin McCarthy to the finish line. Now it's time to see how the Republicans will do business on Capitol Hill. Susan Teherani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.